And this is Marie, and today we're going to be coloring this adorable stamp set called Grow and Bloom. We're going to be coloring hair and the little blouse top, and then we'll just fast forward through the rest of the image. Now last week for Sherri's release, I colored the owl, which was a part of the same stamp set. Isn't he cute? I just added my own little branch and background. And the week before I did a tutorial on the pillow box using the owl. You may wonder where to start with this hair, but Sherri Baldy has given us a clue on where to start by drawing in some of our lines for us, and we're going to map those for our shadow at this time. We're using an E4-2 just to map. It's light and we can change it if we don't like it. The highlight will be coming from kind of the front in your right upper side, so we want to be consistent with that throughout our image. And we're just mapping the area that would be set behind that highlight. You'll see a lot of like hills and valleys with this hair. So the valley will be the area in which we'll have the darker color. Now we're going to go ahead and lay down our shadow, our E4-7. It's one of our shadow areas. And we're just putting it directly on top of our area that we have mapped. Again, this is the areas that are being obscured. They're not getting the direct sunlight. And Sherri has marked those for us. And now we're going to put down one of our lighter shadows, our E44 or our mid-tone, one of them. And we're putting it just directly, flicking a little on top and behind our previous shadow. Just blending that out so it's nice and smooth. And then we're going to go back in and darken that shadow a little more with an E47. And you'll notice that with the hill portion of the big curl, we can make some little lines to indicate what way the hair is flowing. Even though it's curled, it still has strands of hair. And so we'll want to make sure we're consistent with where that curl would be rolled. And now we're using and blending out just a little with our E4-3. Not very much because it's a small area to work. Now we're doing our E40, our highlight. I'm going to take a darker tone, an E49, and use it very sparingly in the areas that are getting just about no highlight. You'll see some of that area will be totally in dark. And that's the area we're using our E49 on, very sparingly. But again, making sure to go in the direction that the hair would be flowing, even when it's curled. Keep those strands nice and even. And you'll want to make it a bit of a curve, just like it would with an actual curve. We're just kind of blending out from those areas with our E4-2. Now I want to darken just a little more with an E4-7. Some of these strands of hair. And we're going to go on now to the blouse. Now on our blouse, I see these little lines that Sherri has drawn for us as kind of puffy. And we'll want to make sure that we stay consistent with our light source, which is coming again from your upper right hand side. So we're going to be using our RV66 and applying it just very lightly with the tip of your brush, very light, in the areas that will not be getting highlight, like just barely next to the arm and in the creases. Each little panel on its left-hand side would be in shadow. And we're going to then darken that. Now that we have mapped it, we will darken it with our darkest, our RV69, going over the very top. And then we're lightly blending out on the very top and over slightly toward our highlight, but not very far. We are going to be reserving a tiny bit of white on each of the panels, so don't get carried away with your shadow. And then our RV63, which is our mid-tone. And then our RV10, just over the top of that and out toward your highlight, reserving a little bit of white. I'm going to darken all of that now, again, to allow me to have greater intensity. My RV69 on the very left-hand edges of each panel. Then my RV66, applying it kind of on top and out a little, small flicking toward the highlight. The RV63, and then we will do the same with our RV10. Reserving just the smallest amount of white there. I'm going to be coloring the rest of her little top, and it will be, the straps, especially in front, will be on top, so we're going to keep that very super light. And now we're just going to speed color for the rest of this image, and you can join me if you like.
da da